course, the idea of clients and the idea of experiences you're delivering. 2 months ago, it was probably different from what you're thinking about today. Mm-hmm.
Right. And if anything, it has, accelerated a great deal. I think, and maybe that's more of a general statement, when you're entering a space, a market that has not formed, there are markets that have formed.
Mm-hmm.
The database market, the cloud, the players, the technology stacks, the buying powers and who buys what, where, all that is now well known and established. So you play in a certain way because the rules are set. And that's what also makes those markets kind of accelerate, because everybody knows, there's a certain level of comfort in understanding that, if I'm going on that path, I've got options, and it's a safer path. And then you have markets that have not formed. So the market that haven't formed, you don't know where the players are. You don't know where things break between players. There's no standard. And so it's a very different dynamic.
Who will lose, right? Who will win? Who will lose? What are
right.
the opportunities? And yeah, exactly. It's emerging market, right? Everything is
emerging market. And there's this tipping point where this market now has formed, in a sense that there are a set of players, a set of capabilities are understood. There's almost like a reference architecture that everybody agrees to, as far as, how the pieces fit together in the broader spectrum, from content to infrastructure to hardware. Everybody kind of knows how those things fit together. And you cannot apply the same rules in that market, in how you go about doing things, as a market that has formed. It's a very different dynamic. And in a market that hasn't formed, really it's a market of building IP. And what I mean by that, and it's often where I see people being, confused. The IP is not about it's not just about what you can produce that's new and novel and cool. And I think there's a lot of that in the tech world that's, about finding new things, finding new patents on things and stuff. Okay, this is all important, but for me, the most important IP that you can develop at those stages is the IP about the problems, the customer problems. Because if you're, at that point, the problems haven't formed themselves. The customer don't even know they really have a problem, because you haven't exposed to them what the future is going to look like. And therefore, either they're going to be threatened by something, or they're going to have to do something. They're going to have an opportunity to compete. And the problem becomes that they don't have it. And if they had it, they would be, it would be transformative. It would give them something to do. So that understanding of what is the problem you're solving is a tremendous value that I think is underappreciated, I think, by sometimes, entrepreneurs, where, again, a lot of focus is, I do this, I do that, and you want to kind of invert the subject and say, you can do this, you can do that. And when you're able to say that with a certain level of resonance, that someone shakes their head and says, yes, that's my problem. I understand what you're enabling me to do as a potential user of this. This is where you can move to now a business, something that you can repeat. And as long as you keep hammering, I do this, I do that, then you don't have a business, you have technology, and when you're able to switch that to kind of, sometimes what I call inverting the subject, when you say, I can do this, then how would you say that starting with you can do that? What would be the sentence that starts with you that says the same thing? I think you've started to get your kind of your sea legs in this very shaky, very in this market that where you can have any certainty outside of the customer market, the market and the problems you're trying to solve. That's really where the certainty, I think, is.
Absolutely. And I think what you're talking about, it's empathy. It's empathy with your customer. It's kind of, what product-centric business strategy look like, right? Me, right? I have the best product in the world. It doesn't work anymore. So you have to sympathize, and you have to have some empathy to your client. So in your platform, in your space, this is fantastic, because I understand I can create a digital twin of myself, right? And of course, it's you know, expanding it to artists, to singers, to all the performers out there, right? Opportunity there. So what's your marketing strategy kind of? How do you want the world to know what you're doing?
So our strategy is twofold. There is a, you know, sometimes use this expression, you have to nail it before you scale it. So the first part of the strategy is try to nail these market spaces where we know we're addressing a problem. And that's a lot of, you know, you talk to early adopters, people who all of a sudden start to see what you're trying to do. They reflect on what you have, they help you shape the vision and so on. Once you've nailed it, then this is where the real marketing start, which is the scaling. You take this sliver of problems that you've solved and you know it has value and people are willing to pay for it and there's urgency and there's all the right factors, and then you repeat. And you're trying to find those people that are in the same situation where you can actually engage with them with a problem statement and any solution to their problem. And I would say today, I mean, as a, you know, you have to be very innovative on the marketing side too. You know, there's a lot of innovation to be done there. I mean, more than people realize. I mean, it's not just about, you know, buying ads on TV or, you know, spending your investors' money. You know, it's there's a lot of cleverness that can come from how you market. You know, and so I think this is there's not like one recipe. My advice would be try to think about marketing as engineering in a way, in a sense that it needs to have to be creative, it needs to be repeatable, it needs to be solid, you know, as a workflow from end to end, so that it's a system, you know, versus thinking of marketing like sometimes we as engineers initially think, which is, you know, it's spending money doing creative stuff. You know, that's not what it is. I mean, it is a lot more engineering like that people realize. It's
Almost engineering, right? It's engineering how the world is going to perceive what you're doing, right?
Absolutely.
And without your customers, right, your product is not worth much, or anybody else's product for that matter, right? So I'm so happy to hear those things that you thought it all through. So marketing, it's a natural extension to what you as CEO have to think about, not just excelling from your product, right? Mm-hmm.
And also, you know, marketing has become a tech heavy you know, segment. I mean, it's hard to, and so that has, you know, on the one side it means that you can do a lot of things very quickly, but on the other side, everybody can do a lot of things very quickly. And look at social media. You know, can you truly emerge just by posting things on Twitter and Instagram? The answer is no. I mean, that's just not, it's saturated already. There are tools to automate posts. You have to do it. You have to do some of it, but you have to be smarter than that. You have to find ways to engage people in a way that is different. I'll give you an example, for instance. So we're working now with the Greenway in Boston, which is one of very forward-looking park downtown Boston that is doing augmented reality exhibits, and they use AR as a way to engage with the public, to do public art, you know, a new form of public art. And they have a channel called the Greenway, Bring the Greenway Home, especially for this time of, you know, where everybody's stuck at home. So every week they unveil a piece of public art in augmented reality that you can bring to your backyard, to your home, in your own context as a user, and take a photo and tweet it back, or, you know, put it on Instagram. And so you become part, as a consumer, part of that story. You're asked to participate, and by doing so, you know, the Greenway brings them something new and exciting to do, and now they're participating into themselves become forward-looking people, or bring this crazy augmented reality public art, you know, installations into their own selected environment. And so the result of that creativity is shared between the participant and the creator of the content, the Greenway, and the artist that they're working with. And so there's a very clever way to, you know, instead of you tweeting about, okay, okay, we do this, we do that on the Greenway, is to let people, to engage people so that they now take part of that and kind of spread the word. So again, it's just one of many examples and many smart things you can do to improve your marketing, that I think is is one way to approach that.